step we take on solid ground. May our lives be a reflection of you, that we might share your gifts generously. Be ever present in our minds and hearts, that we might see you as we serve those around us. Thank you for providing for our every need. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone. Before we get started with the roll call, I'd like to, got a few names here I'd like to mention to the council. Between our last meeting and now, we've had 3 people who were involved with the city pass away. Janet Michael. Janet was the wife of Officer Michael.
So, yes.
He's not with the city anymore, though, is he?
No, Nick is. He's with
He's still with
Nick
Nick.
Michaels with the city, yeah.
Anyway, she passed away. She lost her battle with cancer that she's been fighting for some time. Mary Ann Cutter, which is Greg Cutter's sister. She had some heart issues, and she struggled, had open heart surgery this past week, and finally succumbed to that. So we'll miss them both. Also, Kathy Lemmerman. Kathy was a neighbor, actually, of Bob for a while. She was 96 years old. Her husband, Carl, was the chairman of the Civil Service Exam Committee for many, many years. Did that. He also ran for council. Carl's not doing very well himself either, but Kathy passed away this past week also. 3 people that will be missed in this community, I'm sure. Okay, we'll start up then with roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo.
Here.
Mrs. Moody.
Here.
Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Miss Petersen.
Here.
Mr. Roetting.
Here.
Mrs. Dosa.
Here.
Mr. George.
Okay, we have 1 person missing, Mr. George. Would anybody like to excuse Mr. George?
Make a motion to,
Mr. Petersen made a motion to excuse. Mr. Roetting is seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. You have before you the minutes from our April 28th meeting. I hope you've taken some time to look through those. Is there any corrections that anybody has seen? We good, council?
I make a motion to adopt the minutes as printed.
Mr. Roetting has made a motion to adopt the minutes as printed. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Parsons has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are accepted as printed. Correspondence. Really have no correspondence. You'll cover this thing from Frank LaRose
Yes.
in regards to the election. Guest and special events, we have none. Is there anybody? Public input. If you're watching on TV or the internet, this is the time you can try to call in and ask us any questions. We'll give a moment for that to take place. We getting anybody?
Not yet.
Okay,
Mr. Kocher,
go ahead, sir.
do you make available the opportunity for people to email comments or questions ahead of time?
I mean, that's always available. I don't know, I know Ray sent out I don't know if he sent a refresher out of the link that we sent out originally, letting everybody know, but I think on there it mentioned that, but,
Okay.
but that's a good point, and next time we send something out, we can let them know they can email beforehand.
It was on the Facebook page about the meeting
Oh,
today.
okay.
But I don't know about the emails, but I
Email.
know it gave a contact how to get on.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're caught up, and there are a few people out watching, but I don't see anything, so I think we can probably move on.
Okay, well, we can always go back to it. if
Exactly,
they come in.
exactly.
Committee reports. Business Partnership and Alliance, Ms. Petersen?
We did have a Mount Healthy Business Association meeting via Zoom. A few members attended. There was a new business owner that was there, Dominique. She's from Naturally Beat Feet Nails, so she came to see what the association was about. Mostly, they discussed the various financial programs that were available, and then they could ask questions as to different situations that they had. So that took up most of the meeting. And then Kim, the president, wants to contact the various businesses in the city to see how the pandemic is affecting each one and how they're handling it. And then Fibonacci is planning on having their farmers market the first Sunday in June, so she said she's going to go ahead with that. So that was pretty much all there was.
Question, where is that nail salon located? Do you know?
It's in the, I don't know, where the yoga place used to be, is that, I think that's where she went in? I don't know.
No, I
I'm not sure
saw the
exactly.
sign, but I can't recall where it is.
I don't remember either exactly where she said it was, but,
It's not there, though.
yeah.
Okay. Beautification Committee, Jenny?
Yeah, well, we picked out the plants at Land Tech, and I know Greg's been struggling in the department because Justin hurt his ankle, and then Greg's sister died, and he's got some new guys, so he's emailed me, and some pots were taken from the shed. We don't know who took them. So I'll be out trying to buy new pots, I guess, and then we'll have to figure out how we're gonna get them over. And then I gotta get dirt, and I gotta get the flowers. So it's been very rainy, so obviously we're not gonna be planting right now, but I'm gonna check with Greg, because, you know, he's going through a lot with his sister, and I'll have to see if I need to get some help for me to go get them or whatever.
We can help out, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll work it out, because right now it's just too rainy anyway.
Give me a call, Jenny.
Okay, and so I need to get dirt. The plants are down at Land Tech to be picked up. And then I would like to thank Janet Curley, because Janet called, and of course, she loves to do those kind of things. So I had her go ahead and let her pick out the plants she wanted for in front of her business, and then she takes care of that alley part where the city has those planters. And so she was very happy to do that on her own, so she picked out the flowers, and Land Tech's put it on the city bill, and she went and already has planted those, so they look really nice, so really happy about that. We have contacted some new business owners. Kim was gonna get back with me with a list, but I still haven't gotten a list from her, so I don't have a complete list of where we're gonna put all the pots yet. But the concern is, you know, if businesses aren't open, we're not gonna put pots there, and we wanted, you know, but we do have some new businesses that are open, so we'll be working on that, and we'll get it done hopefully within next week sometime. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Finance, Mr. Parsons.
A couple comments. Just to reiterate what Mr. Kocher said at our last meeting, we're going to be watching our expenses through the summer anyway, and not purchasing anything that's not absolutely required. We have to keep a watch on the revenues. Could be a reduction in payroll tax revenues and our JED Z. And the other thing is the county has delayed the second property tax payments for the year by 3 or 4 weeks, and Mr. Kocher checked with the auditor. Excuse me. We will probably be delayed in getting our second property tax payments by 2 to 3 weeks in the fall, but that shouldn't pose a problem for us. But we've got a lot of things to keep an eye on.
Okay,
Yep.
yes, we do. Thank you. Parks, Ms. Lingo.
No report.
Okay. Streets and Safety, Mr. Roetting.
No report this month, but I would like to share one thing, and it's not related to streets and safety. I got a tour of Hilltop Glass a couple of weeks ago. It's looking really good. They're open for business, and Yep, everything looks really nice. Second floor looks good. So I just so happened to be walking by when Cindy was in, and so I got the grand tour, so,
Good. Wish her well.
yep.
Mr. George has school. I guess there's not much going on at school, so,
Not sure, yeah.
yeah. Library, Ms. Dosa?
Nothing new to report.
Okay. Urban Tree, Ms. Lingo?
Yes, I have a report, but I gotta take this off so my glasses don't steam up. Karen sent me this update on the trees. She said that all the street trees got mulched and pruned as needed in the past few weeks, and they used the wood chips from the storm cleanup. And they're hoping to do another planting on the street in the fall. And the contractor from Duke went around right after the April 8th storm and did utility clearance pruning on trees. And she learned that they do a better job when there's somebody working on behalf of the city to monitor them, as the pruning quality varies widely. And she met with the auditor of the pruning, who works for a different company than the actual pruning contractor, and he was real responsive. And this pruning happens on a 5-year cycle, so the auditor noted down to contact somebody from the tree commission next time they do that. And just a reminder that volcano mulching, where mulch is heaped around a tree, base of a tree, is not good for the tree. All that's needed is about 3 to 4 inches of mulch or wood chips, and it should be kept away from the trunk. Also a reminder that a string trimmer can kill a young tree in seconds because the bark is thin and all the cell divisions for trunk growth happens in a 2-cell thick cambium, which I'm not sure what that is, layer right beneath the bark. So stay away from that, and that's it.
Okay,
Any questions?
thank you. WeThrive, Ms. Moody.
We haven't had a meeting, but I did send out an email to people, some of the people on WeThrive. I attended the Ticoon Farm Board meeting Monday, a week ago, and those funds for the Interact for Health grant, this is the last year, and they are in an account, and it was stated that those funds are decided upon expenditure in the WeThrive committee. So I did send an email out. I did get a response from one person. And I have went ahead and contacted on my own the Alliance, because they are doing outreach this summer with the kids. And some of it's coordinated with the farm and some of it isn't. And I talked to the director and informed him that if there's an outreach that they're continuing to do this summer, since, the pool's going to be closed, and I'm not sure. We haven't really said anything in this community about doing anything this summer, and I know because we don't know, because we're under all these advisements and regulations, but I do know that they take craft packs to these kids' homes, and the kids look forward to this. So they are working on budgetary items to keep in contact with the kids this summer and the families in our neighborhoods, and to try to continue their work, because we do have this funding, and it just seems to me we need to reach out a little bit more in the community to see what's out there. So if anybody knows of any initiatives in the community that would fall under the WeThrive initiative, please let us know. You can let me know, you can let the mayor know, or Betty from Fibonacci. And, part of the WeThrive, the Interact for Health grant, and the WeThrive committee decided upon the, and it's out of my brain right now, but it's the Perks machine, Produce Perks.
Produce Perks, yes.
And so the machine and all of that we need in order for people to come with their direction cards, or is it the Perks?
EBT cards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will be able to come to the market Fibonacci, and we'll be able to purchase food goods there. So through some of the funding from the Interact for Health and the WeThrive Committee, we've been able to help Fibonacci Farm acquire some of that equipment. So people have the advantage to come and get fresh fruit and food with their cards through the Produce Perks. So we're really excited about that. So that was a good community initiative. So if anybody knows of anything else or has an idea of what we could do, please let us know in the WeThrive Committee, and we would greatly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Jenny.
Good.
Okay, I do have some correspondence that I skipped over. I'd like to, before we go to the mayor's report. This is dated May 19th, 2020. On behalf of the AFSCME Local 3610, the Mount Healthy firefighters would like to thank Mr. Bob Parsons for his generosity in purchasing lunch and/or dinner for the department for the week of May 4th through the 9th, 2020. The firefighters enjoyed the meals and Bob's thoughtfulness. This is a great gesture for the employees as well as supporting the local businesses of the city of Mount Healthy. Thank you, the City of Mount Healthy Fire Department, to Bob. Very nice, Bob.
Very nice.
Okay, Mayor's report, Mr. Wolf.
A few things. After, it was our last meeting, where we went over the letter that said, we weren't going to get the funding for our streets on July 1st. I called State Representative Bridget Kelly. She's not our rep, but she's a personal friend of mine, so I knew I could get her to answer. So I called her and we had a conversation, and she unfortunately told me that it sounds like there's going to be no capital bill this year. So not only confirmed this session, but she made it sound like there won't be one this year. So I pushed back a bit and said, seems like infrastructure is the way to get the economy going again, but I don't know what the issue is up there. I'm going to keep pushing, and I am going to call Kathy Ingram, our state rep, and our Senator Cecil Thomas as well. But from what she has been told, there's no plans for any capital bill. So that's very disappointing. So if anyone else wants to call state reps to push, go ahead. I'm going to. In brighter news, I had a call with the Chamber of Commerce, Cincinnati Chamber. And it was a conference call with mayors and township trustees from across, not just our county, but also from Kentucky, from neighboring counties, Warren County. There were a few for sure, maybe Butler and Claremont, but I remember Warren. And there was one good thing that came out of that. One of their lobbyists in D.C. was telling us that the next round of stimulus money, one of the few things that is bipartisan is that there is language to reimburse local governments for lost revenue at 100% reimbursement. Now, it has not passed. I know the House passed one version last week. It has not passed at this point, but I was shocked to hear that it was, that's the one part that's not really a sticking point at this point. They kind of all agree on. So I don't want to bank on it. I think everything Bob said is correct. We need to make sure that we are being very conservative this year with our spending, make some cuts, which we've already done. And if so, then we might get a nice bonus at the end. So I'm hoping that comes true. I'll keep you updated. They are planning on having a second one of those calls. I did bring up the capital bill in that call as well, because I know other jurisdictions are having the same issue as well, getting funding for roads. So I did voice that. But I do just want to let you know that that right now is in the language in both houses of Congress, in the Senate and in Congress right now. So keep your fingers crossed, and let's hope that happens. I'll believe it when I see it, but it was good to hear that. Two other things. One of them, Alex Grenfell is a scout at Assumption, and he went through Mount Healthy Schools, and then they moved. Now he goes to Northwest. But he is working on his Eagle Scout, and he needs a project. And if you remember a few years back, another scout from that troop put rain gutters on the gazebo down at the wetland and did some other improvement. Well, he was a younger scout when that project was done, and he helped with that. So he reached out and asked if he could kind of continue that project and do any cleaning, repairs, and even replacement of the benches, picnic tables, and grills down in the wetland. So I just talked to Bill today about it, and sounds like we'll keep that conversation going. It sounds like a good idea. We obviously would want him to walk through with Greg once Greg's available, and make sure that we're replacing things with equal quality. But as long as everything works out, sounds like we'll have that improvement going on over the summer, which would be nice. And the last thing, some of you might have saw, the district shared a video. I actually did a proclamation for the class of 2020 since they missed out on their whole last quarter as seniors. And I told them I was going to read it on the record at council, so it would always be an historic record. I do think this is a historic occasion. It's unfortunate for them. So I've already presented the actual proclamation to the principal so that he can have it on the table at their diploma pickup ceremony this Friday. But I am going to go ahead and read that now, just so it's in the record that I read it. And luckily, we have television, so people will be able to remember this. It says, from the office of the mayor, the city of Mount Healthy, this is a proclamation for the class of 2020. Whereas the class of 2020 spent 12 years working towards their high school diplomas, and whereas President Trump, Governor DeWine, and Mayor Wolf declared states of emergencies due to the COVID-19 virus, and whereas the 2019-2020 school year was cut short due to the pandemic, and whereas the class of 2020 sacrificed their prom, graduation ceremony, and countless other senior activities for the health and safety of the community, and whereas the class of 2020 deserves to be recognized for their hard work and accomplishments, and whereas the Mount Healthy community wishes to express its pride in the class of 2020. Now, therefore, I, James Wolfe, Mayor of the City of Mount Healthy, do hereby recognize May 22nd, 2020 as Class of 2020 Day in the City of Mount Healthy and commend its observance to all citizens.
Very nice,
That's the end
Mayor.
of the proclamation.
That's very
So I
nice.
know this is a really tough time for all of them. I hope it's not tough for those going to college. It would be a shame if they can't be on campus in the fall. Beginning of freshman year is such a formative time, and end of high school is such a formative time, so I hope they get those experiences. I know it's hitting Bill pretty hard.
Yep, I've got one of those that's missed out on a lot, but yeah.
So I just wanted to do that for them. So they do have a key to the city dedicated to the class of 2020 and the proclamation. They're going to hang them in the building. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. It was very nice. And you are correct about what they've
Yeah.
lost in their life. Okay, moving on.
Question.
Questions?
The first thing you reported on, the capital for state?
Yeah.
Was that the road?
Yes,
So they're not planning to do the road projects this fall?
correct. As of now, they don't plan on passing a capital bill this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we often refer that to SKIP, so the capital fund would fund the SKIP
Right.
projects, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, city manager report, Mr. Kocher.
Thank you. I spoke with the ICRC about doing a quick video, or not, it doesn't necessarily need to be quick, but an informative video about the upcoming August election, just factual information. I don't know if anybody's interested in doing that. They talked about doing it during business hours. I think most people are available for that, to come up. They would film it in here. We could just go over the facts and costs and just different things on why it's needed. I think the mayor's planning on doing a letter, and he could refer back in that letter, to watch that too, so that we don't continue to hear that we're trying to sneak this thing through and all those other kinds of things that will eventually probably come up. So, is anybody interested? Looking for volunteers?
During the day?
During the day.
Can't,
Yeah, I don't know.
unless it's after 4:04.
Sure, Bill, I'll help you out.
Bob, good. All right, I heard Bob. I know Jamie. And I will do it. I mean, more the merrier, but if nobody, 3 or 4 people would probably be a good number to kind of, communicate the segments through, so.
Think about it.
Okay. All right, thanks. And if anybody changes their mind or is interested, let me know. We'll get you in there. So some other items just to kind of keep up on. The Mayor's Court is going to continue to operate on a teleconference basis where we're still not bringing people in. We're contacting people now as we issue citations, we're telling them to call. It was a challenge getting hold of everybody that had tickets or pending cases before that. But I talked to Dan Timming, and he's pretty pleased on how it's going and how to go forward. We're planning on carrying that through June. as we transition, because keep in mind, Dan is retiring June 30th, and Scott Solomon is coming on as the law director. And they're working well together with that transition, and Scott's going to start coming to some of the courts and so forth, and hit the ground running. So that is the case. We're planning on opening up City Hall staff with folks starting June 1st, and trying to get ahead of the filings that are coming in July and so forth. Trying to put every precaution that we can in place, like what's been recommended, try to lead by example with that. So we've got the plexiglass thermometers and so forth. So that's kind of where we are. Police department is open back up again. They are limiting people, limiting the number of people, but they are allowing people to come in to pick up different accident reports or what have you. So that's in place as well. Just kind of all over. I'll jump down here. Just a quick update on the park. The plan is still, even though they have talked about opening up some of the public pools. I know it's a mixed bag if you hear from different communities. Our plan is still not to, for a lot of reasons, as was discussed last time. But even then, it's, we don't know when these things open. I was talking to the mayor, how many people are even going to feel comfortable, and it's a lot of money to have it going. So our plan is still to move forward with that. I know they're running into that with like the scout. They canceled. They talked about at first having scout camps over the summer, but there's just a reluctance for people right now. But hopefully that will gain momentum. We're still trying to hold out to do some things later in the summer as we open up more and more. It seems like on a daily basis things are changing, and hopefully it still continues positive. We've talked, and this is probably a long shot, but we've talked with the fireworks folks, and they're in agreement to wait until June 16th, our council meeting, which will make a decision then collectively, and let them know the next day they still feel they could execute it if it's something that we wanted to do on July 3rd or not. We've canceled all the events for June, but we hope to revisit that in June to see if there can't be a concert or a movie in the park or something like that. So we're not trying to cut everything off, focusing on some of the other things besides the pool.
And that grass area is big enough where,
Yeah, you think we could get some.
and the crowds aren't over,
Right.
well,
The biggest ones obviously is 3rd of July.
July 3rd,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we'll see. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, but the 3rd of July will definitely be a collective decision at council on the 16th. And that's with the assumption that we're going to go into summer session, which we want to talk about too. For Memorial Day, there's no parade. Obviously, Greg is going to decorate the area over there, but the Legion is going to come over with their color guard and do a 21-gun salute. So if you hear any shots on Monday, that's what that will be. And that just the color guard. There's no other thing going on there, but they do want to try to do that. I told them it shouldn't be a problem.
Is that in the afternoon, 2 o'clock like they used to do the parade? Or-
Yes. Heidi put it in there. Hold on, I can tell you exactly. Monday between 1:45 and 12 o'clock.
2 o'clock?
11:45 and 12 o'clock.
11:45 and 12
11:45 and 12. Just making sure you guys are listening. Should be like just 10 or 15 minutes. I shared this and spoke with Kim today, and I shared it with the mayor, and we're going to get it on our website. The Hamilton County is doing a Hamilton County Small Business Grants, which are going to be forgivable grants to qualified small businesses in the county. Obviously, they're feeling that there's going to be more need than there is dollars, so it's going to be a lottery. But we're getting the word out. It's really, the city's really just the facilitator. We don't have to sign off or do anything. There's a link. The big thing, and I was quite surprised that in talking with Kim, a lot of our businesses in town have received some of the CARES Act money for the payroll continuance and stuff. If you've already received federal dollars, then you don't qualify for this one. But if you haven't, which, a lot of our businesses uptown, maybe some of the ones that were 1099s and things like that may not. So we're just trying to get the word out. So let them know. It'll be on our website. Kim's aware of it. She's going to send out the information, and just try to let folks know there's a link and they can go on. And I like what they're doing with it as well. It's going to be very simple to sign up for it. If you're in the lottery and you get chosen, then they're going to ask you for the backup documents. So it's not one of those things where you have to do all the legwork up front. And so, anyway, that's some good news, and we don't often have a lot of the resources to help. We get that question a lot, what do we have for small businesses? Well, this is an opportunity here, so. The book on your desk tonight was just a summary. You need a microphone, or magnifying glass to read it, I think, but this is the breakout, just show that I followed up with the Board of Elections, and they provided estimates as to what they think our cost would be for an August election, which is at $8,000. And they do want a $5,200 upfront payment, that's new. We haven't had to do that in the past, but
What's the total?
total is $8,000. They estimate $2,000 per precinct.
Precinct.
It's $1,120,000 to do the election, and $2,000 a precinct, even if only one city.
No, yeah, that's what I said. Obviously, this is your estimate based on the whole, this is what it would be, how they break it out. So I've confirmed and have not heard back that says that this will just roll down if there's only 2 jurisdictions, because right now it's us and St. Bernard. So I just wanted her to affirm with me that, yes, this cost will remain, even though there's only 10 maybe, how many ever precincts that St. Bernard has, so.
Do you know if the election is going to be all mail, all by mail?
I have
Excuse me.
not heard.
I didn't mean
I will
all by mail.
I will tell you that they've been at Trinity and they've been mapping out how they would position everything and measuring and everything. So I'm assuming that they're doing that to see if they can still have it where people
Spread out
can
a
come
way.
in. That's what, they were there last week, I believe, doing
Great,
that.
that's good information. Yeah, they haven't been to City Hall yet, because they do over at the community room. So, yeah, but as soon as we get that information, we'll let everybody know. There was both reports from the police department and street department in your packet as well. Just a couple follow-ups from the last meeting. Alex, I know we talked about get Alex to work with Kim to get information to share, and Kim has kind of been slowly getting her that information. Her plan is to get something out this week, while at the same time ask for businesses to reach out to her as well, just to try to continue to let people know what's going on and what's out there. So look for that later this week from Alex, and she thinks she has enough information from Kim now to try to make everybody aware of what's going on. And then the last item is just to follow up discussion last time about the SAFER grant. The SAFER grant was due on Friday, but then they extended it to Monday the 26th, or Tuesday the 26th. I'm hoping that we get it completed this week. Part of the problem was, in the midst of all that's going on, they completely changed the format and the platform that you apply on. So I've been peppered for the last 3 or 4 days with lots of questions, because I was like, wait a minute, we just did this last year. No, it's all new, all different ways they're looking at it, different ways of providing the information. So my goal, I said on Friday, since we've got a reprieve at the last minute, that I wanted it done by Tuesday so that we could not be rushing around on the 26th or trying to get it done. So it's still out there, but we have the information and we're moving forward with it. So, and that's all I had tonight.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions?
That's being completed for 7 full-time firefighters?
Correct.
Okay, going to move on to the finance director. And I just want to make note that I didn't skip him. He's not here, it's on him.
That's right. No, Scott knows. He'll be here at the next meeting. He has an ordinance that we're going to take a first reading on tonight, or resolution for the tax budget. Then next meeting we'll have a public hearing, and he'll be here to address that, and we can take our second reading, and then he doesn't have to get it in until July. So we're ahead of the curve on that.
All right, then we're going to move on to our ordinances and resolutions. We have no second readings on ordinances or resolutions. We have a first reading on two ordinances. First ordinance is 20-1909. An ordinance to amend section 95.64 of the Mount Healthy Municipal Code of Ordinances to include an administrative fee in addition to the cost for the removal of high grass, weeds, and litter. Okay, questions, council?
I can address this. We've had administrative fees in talking with our attorney, Dan. We wanted to clarify it. There was a discussion, it was asked by Councilman Parsons if this could be kind of an escalating thing, because we've talked about this many times. We don't want to be in the grass cutting business, right? We really want people to do this. And at what point can it become, till it gets these folks' attention that we're, that they need to be doing this. This isn't something we want to do to relieve the burden from our street department. And Dan said that he wouldn't be comfortable of going over $200 because at some point it becomes more of a punitive situation. And right now we are at the $150 range, so it just gives us some ability down the road if we wanted to increase it as costs go up. And then eventually, if we want to go above that amount, then we would have to amend the ordinance. So it's just kind of some housekeeping and getting that addressed. But we started to look at this to see if we could do an escalate. If we cut a grass 10 times, at what point is it going to get their attention, with these assessments? And we couldn't. We had to cap it, and that's what Dan's recommendation was. So that's what this does.
Do most of these residents do not own the property and don't pay the taxes, so they don't care? Or what is it?
You're going to get a combination of a lot of things. I mean, some properties are abandoned. Some properties are owned by mortgage companies that are part of a huge portfolio that they, lose track of or whatever. And some of them are just situations where, it is owned. There might even be, we've had situations where people are living there, typically not a home ownership situation, more of a rental situation. Had stories from the guys where they're mowing and people walk out the front door, get in their car and go. And so it's, but that's not what we want. And so, so these get assessed. Eventually, when the property transfers, we get payment. And, Melanie can attest to this. We get several, twice a year, we get these payments. And, it could be from 4 or 5 years ago, or it could be recent. And that money goes back into the street department because it's they're maintaining all the equipment and the time and everything that goes with that.
Okay, council, any other questions?
I just want to make a comment to the public that this is going to cost $300-400 every time the city cuts their grass. So there are plenty of landscapers and lawn cutters out there that are looking for business, and you can probably get your lawn cut for $50, $60, $70 instead of paying $300 or $400. So we're not in the business of cutting grass, but if we want the city to look nice, and that's why we're increasing this administrative fee to help us cover all of our costs, but also make people wake up and hopefully go find their own grass cutter, whether it's a landlord-tenant relationship or whether it's an elderly resident that just can't get out and cut their grass and they let the city do it. There's much, much cheaper ways to do it. Thank you.
Yep. Very good.
What is the administration's wish
Bob,
on
I
this?
agree 100%. Sorry, Ross.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yeah, it'd be good to go ahead. It's time. Tis the season.
Yeah.
Right now there's still a lot going on. So
We only have, we got 6, never mind.
Now, if we haven't declared an emergency on this, is it going to take 30 days from when we pass it then to become law?
Well, Technically, yes, but it doesn't mean we'll move forward. What that 30 days allows is for someone to do a referendum.
Oh, you can put it in effect right away, but you have 30 days to,
Right, do a referendum, and if we, if there's a referendum filed, then we could be in a position to have to move that back to the $100 that we've been doing, but we're gonna move forward as if it's not going to. I don't think it'll be an issue.
So, council, any other questions? Do you wish to suspend, or do you wish to have a first reading?
I make a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule.
Mr. Redding has made a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Parsons has seconded. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Miss Petersen,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, the 2 reading rule has been suspended. Are there any other questions regarding this ordinance? Then I would ask for a motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt.
Ms. Dosa has made a motion to adopt.
Second it.
Mr. Redding has seconded.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Miss Petersen,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, ordinance number 20-1909 is adopted. Next one is ordinance number 20-1910, an ordinance assessing cost of the removal of high grass and weeds and declaring an emergency. Questions or comments, council?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule.
Ms. Lingo has made a motion to suspend. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Redding?
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Miss Petersen,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, the 2 reading rule has been suspended. Any questions, comments yet? Then I'd ask for a motion to adopt.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 20-1910.
Okay, Mr. Parsons has made a motion to adopt. Mr. Redding has seconded.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Miss Petersen,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George.
Okay, by a vote of 6-0, ordinance number 20-1910 is adopted. And we have a resolution. Resolution number 20-1145. A resolution adopting a tax budget for 2021. Mr. Kocher?
Yeah, I mean, really, if there, Scott just wanted to get this in front of everybody tonight for a first reading. You could email him with questions or comments or anything, or any questions that you may have. And then, like I said, at the meeting on June 16th is when we'll have a public, well, obviously it's
Public
gonna
hearing.
probably be hard to have a public, we'll have a council meeting like we are now with live streaming with an opportunity for any input that somebody might have. And then need to go ahead and adopt it that night. So we can just do a first reading tonight.
First reading. Are there any questions on this, though, before we have the first reading? Yes.
This will be exactly the same as the 2020 budget is currently?
Right, he clones it, yep.
Okay, first reading, council?
Yep.
Everybody agree to that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Old business. Mr. Redding?
I just have one question. Bill, where are we on the work being done on Clover Nook as far as, I can't remember, the Old Compton Groves is concerned with that group? Are they finished with all their renovations, or
Yes.
do we know what, and do we have any idea of what occupancy is right now, or?
No.
Okay.
I'm not, I mean, I could find out, but I think that they're, I don't know. I
So-
think they're pretty full.
Okay, I'm just wondering if they've transitioned into their new rental rates and how that's been going.
Yeah.
So if they're done with the
Yeah.
construction end of it and the renovation of all the units, so,
Yes, they are. I do know that.
okay. And all the infrastructure that they were doing?
Mhm.
Okay,
Not doing a very good job of maintaining it right now. We've been having a lot of issues with the grass cutting and so forth, and
well,
Bill's been in contact with them, and it was it was a switch in management companies, and then, didn't get bids and so forth, but, I drove past tonight, and I don't recall, I don't know if it's been cut recently, but it was a problem, I do know that.
yeah, well, a transition is always painful, even if it's just cutting grass, but I don't begrudge anybody with the way the rain's been coming down the last few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So, but, yeah, I was just curious as to what the status was of that, of the whole complex and the renovation, so. Great.
Okay, other old business, council.
I have a question for the mayor about the levy, the mayor's letter for the levy. Are you, have you working on a draft of that?
Yes, just preliminarily. When, do we know when the video will be?
I was gonna, yeah, I was gonna send out some dates for you, with you guys. Next week is hectic, but the first week in June, we could hopefully get together one day. And, it's pretty much, they'll do it that day, and, as long as we're ready and we can get it, it should be, on the website the next day or so.
So I'll get, that's only, 2 weeks away?
Yeah.
So I can get a draft and get out just for people to look at and recommend changes, et cetera. I don't want to send it out until we record that. That way I can put the link on the letter.
Oh, sure, I understand. And as far as a mailing list, is Ray taking a look at the voting list, or?
I pulled up the voting list, yeah, so that's my plan. And they have it down at Express Graphics. They do have the voting list.
It's gonna have to be scrubbed, because, we don't wanna send two to every address where there's a married couple that are both registered to vote, try to
And
merge
they
them.
can do that from Express Graphics.
Okay.
They can do one per household opposed to per resident,
Okay.
yeah.
And you're only gonna go with the voting list, or you're gonna try to,
That's what I was planning.
Okay.
I'm open to any suggestions, because last time I thought I was doing the right thing and kind of backfired on me, so please.
Well, what else would you do? You're not gonna send a bunch of letters out to people that aren't registered to vote, so.
well, if they knew that this was gonna be on the ballot, they could go register to vote
Well,
on it. But, we wanna let everybody know that we can, whether they're registered or not. That number should probably be somewhere, the number of residences maybe around 12, 13, 1,500, maybe even more. I think we have about 2,200 residences.
Well, yeah, I know that number from what we bill for Rumpke, but, some of those are, have more than one per location.
Yeah.
I think,
I can get the total amount of registered, but that won't really help, because there could be 4 registered voters
well-
living in a house. Yeah, I don't know,
Once that's scrubbed,
yeah.
just see, take a look at it and see if it looks reasonable. About 2/3 of the residences maybe, or 3/4, whatever, everybody doesn't register to vote, I know that.
Right.
Okay.
I'll also need to make sure that with the buildings, like, we want them mailed to all the residents of, like, apartment complexes and nursing homes, not nursing homes, but senior apartments that are registered to vote. Because we do want at least each apartment. I'll have to talk to Express Graphics quite a bit, or see what I can do.
Well, if they're registered to vote and they're living in a senior,
Right.
that's the address that should be on there.
I just want to make sure there's not just one letter going.
Oh,
to
one for the whole nursing,
Yeah,
residents? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll figure out how to do that.
Okay,
They're good down there. They know what they're doing
yeah,
with the mail list.
that's, yeah. I just want to make sure it's still moving, and
Yes.
we want to get something out probably the first week or two of June, and then maybe do something later in July, again, whatever.
Yep.
Do we need a levy committee? I mean, are we going to
We
be,
need money to pay for it.
well, we need money to pay
If we
For-
print anything.
if we are pushing it, we do. If we're just educational, we really don't.
Right. Yeah, if we're putting up, depends upon what we put on the literature. Is if, right?
Correct.
So if we're going to do literature, if we're going door to door,
I mean, we can go to door to door with literature as long as it's informational and
Yep.
not directional and telling people how to vote.
yep,
And I've kicked the idea around. I think that we've done a good job so far trying to give information to folks. We need to keep going. Right now the feedback's been fairly positive. I'm sure there's a few negative things that are going on, but we can provide the facts. My thought would be not to create a pact and do that for the August levy, and then if things don't go well in August, then we need to really ramp it up and get a pact and really get ready for November. But it's up to council, but that was kind of the discussion, especially with what's going on right now. It's just, we're going to be doing things differently, I guess, and we'll get, we could do another recording in probably July. ICRC's been great with it, so.
I think it sounds good to not do it for the August, but if we don't pass in August, we could do one before November and do more pushing.
Right.
So this one will be all educational, all letting people know why and why we need this and what we're doing and how much it is and everything else. I just want to make sure nobody thinks we're trying to sneak anything by. And
Already been accusations on next door.
thank you.
Any other old business, council? New business? We'll start.
I just want to publicly say that I was extremely disappointed with Walker's funeral that happened last week. There were people all over, people walking in my yard. There must have been over 200 people at that nursing home, or not nursing home, that funeral home. People in the street. I called up here and they said the police were notified that this could possibly happen and they were up and down the street. But, they were people, more than 10 people, 15 or 20, on the sidewalk, eating, drinking, trash left afterwards. Now, luckily, most of them, the garbage cans were still out from neighbors, and so most people tried to put their trash in the garbage cans. I called Walker's main office. She said, well, what do you expect me to do? And I said, well, maybe I need to call the Board of Health, and maybe they can help you out. I never heard back from the police department. I don't need to, but I guess they were forewarned about it. Do you know about that, Bill?
Is it on the 15th?
Yeah.
It was a.
It's probably one of the largest funerals they've had in years.
Yes,
I
they
was
notified us
appalled.
that it was a known gang member that the funeral was for. So we were prepared more on a logistical side of things of knowing that, and then the procession then was coordinated with Cincinnati to get to where the burial occurred. I believe.
And maybe it's just me thinking about what I saw and how many people were there. But he's got a lot of locations in Cincinnati, and he didn't pick the city of Cincinnati. He picked the city of Mount Healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know whether because the person lived nearby here or what, but I thought it was a slap in the face to this city to have that many people at a funeral. And I'm just telling you, it was a party. And I was like flabbergasted by the whole thing. So I thought there was a regulation about how many people are supposed to be at a funeral.
There are.
Right,
Board of Health regulates that.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So I guess I'll call the Board of Health and
No,
has anybody talked to Walker about how many people were there?
don't know.
Don't know. Okay. What does everybody else think?
I'm not disagreeing with you, Jenny.
Oh, I know.
I
I'm
mean, I
just
didn't.
saying, if that's going to be
I
his
didn't
mode
work
of
on Fridays,
business,
I wasn't here.
if that's going to be his mode of business from now on,
It's four. I think
that
it's
he
four.
can just have as many people. I realize how difficult it is when you have a funeral. People want to come and But, you know, and most of his funerals in the last month or so have been fairly small, but there have been, you know, it's not been that limited. But the one last week was, well, Mayor, you went by. I text you.
Yeah,
I took pictures.
I was
Yeah, I
shocked.
saw,
It was,
it was pretty
I
large.
assume there was no social distancing.
Oh,
no,
Well, like
not,
she
and
said,
and
there
even in
were-
my yard.
Yeah, there were people in the yards down St. Clair just congregating. I mean, it
all the way
was,
down to my house.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
I was
so-
very, very surprised. Jenny texted me there was an issue, and I was already out. I forget where, I think I was coming back from Kroger or somewhere, so I
was going to
purposely
Kroger's
came
and
through
saw it.
that way, and I couldn't believe how bad it was.
They have no garbage cans at Walker at all on the outside. No garbage cans. So people can't throw trash when they're even in the parking lots, okay? So most of the time, the trash isn't that big of an issue. However, we all pick up trash because, you know, there's trash from other things. You know, you can't determine. But that day, there was trash. So, you know, there's still some.
Jenny, I'm sorry, this is the first time hearing it, I'll follow up.
And the problem is my worry is if they feel like people go off their property, well, they could have the attitude, well, what could we do? That's not, we can't make people on the street, you know, once they leave our presence. So I kind of wondered I didn't see anybody in that back parking lot from them monitoring anything. And nobody from there was going down the street and saying, hey, guy, you know, kind of, I mean, I often wondered if maybe they wanted them to spill out into the street, and that kind of cleared them.
Is this the first time this has happened to this extent, or is this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, to
This is-
this extent.
So, you know, and again, I'm not trying to defend Walker. I don't know what they told them. I mean, you know.
Oh, I don't either.
And once the situation, you know, we were more concerned about potential, not, you know.
Retaliation.
Retaliation, things like that. That was the focus. Again, making assumptions that the business owners have to, they're the ones that's putting their business on the line by not adhering to the distancing and so forth. So I'll definitely have both the chief and, you know, and I, you know, I'll follow up with Mr. Walker as well, you know, expressing our disappointment. But yeah, and then, you know, in the future, I guess you just never know how, you know, how large that's going to be.
No, I understand that,
You know,
but this thing it was huge.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of the biggest ones they've ever had. And
Okay.
I'm thinking, and this time, I was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then, you know, it just finally got to me that he has no garbage cans out around his building at all. Plus, he doesn't have a dumpster, so I guess they just have the trash inside the building, which really doesn't bother me too much. I mean, I pick up trash anyway, but after that, I'm thinking, you know what? You could have had some trash cans in the parking lot and back when they were all partying, and you could have had people back there kind of monitoring the situation, you know? So anyway, it was just kind of, you know, I think other businesses in our town are probably trying to follow the regulations given by the governor. And I'm sure that maybe we'll be looking at other establishments to make sure, you know, if things open up. But it would be nice if we could just have a conversation with Walker to say, wow, you know, that pretty much impacted our community that day and the neighbors.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Well, they put people at risk with
Yeah.
their health at risk by not following the social distancing and.
But I had no
wearing face
clue,
masks or
you know, as a
anything else.
neighbor, and the neighbors, I mean,
see
you know,
anybody
we
with
didn't have
masks,
any
did you?
clue this was gonna happen.
Right.
And we had no idea, you know, what was gonna happen. And it was pretty much
Well,
shocking.
I don't like to go to funerals, but when I do go to them, there's not a whole lot of eating going on. There's usually not a need for trash cans, except for the few they have in the funeral home.
Unless they're having a repast there.
Yeah.
They had blue
What?
cups, they had blue Solo cups. I mean, they were eating and drinking, so I don't know.
Awake.
Awake.
Oh, wait,
I have trouble, I have
doesn't know
trouble.
what
Say what?
it was away.
Okay.
All right.
Receptions?
But I would like to say one other new business on a good note is I really do appreciate, Trinity has a community garden, and most of the plots there are not just church members, but community members. And Greg and his team were awesome in taking a lot of that mulch and dumping it up there at the community garden, and then we spread it, and that really came in handy. It's been a horrible thing for people to go through what they went through. And Bob, I know you've had a lot of damage at your house. But the aftermath of having all those wood chips delivered up there to the community garden, the community people were really excited that we're able to put that down. And I really appreciate the efforts of the city for doing that. That was great.
No problem.
Okay. Other new business, summer session, Bob,
Oh, yeah.
I'll turn it over to you.
We're gonna talk about that, Bill.
Summer session.
Me?
Sure, why not?
Well, I guess we don't have to have 2 meetings every month in the summer, do we? We could call special ones if we needed, okay.
I think that's how we've operated for
You
the
know how
last,
we've done it.
as long as I can remember.
Some years we sneak by and some years we have
Yeah.
special sections.
Right. Yep,
Well,
exactly.
I don't think we need one till the 16th of June, and at that point, we could decide if we need another one, but, yeah, I'll make a motion that we go into summer session, and in June, July, and August, only have council meetings on the 3rd Tuesday of the month.
Okay, any other comments?
Nope. Do we
Mr.
need a-
Parsons has made a motion, do I have a second?
Second?
Second.
Mr. Roetting has seconded. All those in favor of going to summer session for June, July, and August, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Other new business, council.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Lingo has made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Dosa seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, council.